welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson, with more than 2 decades in the sales industry. I've heard it, seen it, lived it, been through just about everything there is to say, good, bad, and ugly, when it comes to sales in the sales industry. This show is created to give you all kinds of fun stories, give you a community to come in and share, and to learn. Because one thing I've realized over my 2 decades in this industry is the continual growth and development of ourselves is truthfully what allows us to make more money. And that's what all of us got into sales to do. Let's be honest. We want to make more money so that we can go and live the life that we want to live. And today's guest is someone I'm very, very excited to have on. He is the host of the Big Ticket Life podcast. And also, we're joined by Jeff Giagnocavo, a lifelong advocate for small business. From selling his first business at 16 to now being sought after consultant, Jeff's entrepreneurial journey is nothing short of inspiring. We're going to dive into his latest book, The Space for Leadership. Offers unique insights to empathetic leadership and its profound impact. Jeff's expertise with 14 years of 5-star customer experience at Gardner's Mattress and more, and accolades in Forbes, fancy guy, promises an engaging conversation on business success and the big ticket life. What's up, Jeff?
What's up, sir? I'm happy to be here, man. And happy to be on your show. Not that there's anything wrong with others' shows, but this is your show called The Damn Leads, man. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, and I really appreciate it, and I really, really appreciate that wonderful bio that you sent over. I try to freestyle these, and it's never quite as well put together as that, so kudos to you. Again, we've done some shows together in the past. We've talked about the importance of being a great podcast guest, and dadgummit, sir, you are one heck of an example of that. So thank you. Yeah. I am excited to talk about your book, but before we get into that, I always like to start the show off with a bang, man. Tell me a crazy sales story.
So, be me, trying to carve out a path in the furniture and mattress game back mid-2000s, early 10s, demanding life from the factories I represent. And the tagline that our marching orders were pretty much, you tell your customers you're going to sell this or you're going to sell against it, because you got to sell everybody in your market. And not everybody greeted that the right way. Some people were upset by that. Some people liked it. Some people would listen. Some people wouldn't. But I always managed my territory to please our customers and to please my factory, because that's how I made my money, right? Keeping that two-way street open as a manufacturer's sales rep. So there was one account in in Maryland, this was, right on the strip, whole bunch of independent stores, some chain stores. And there was one big fish I really wanted. He wouldn't pay attention to me. And at the time, I drove around a Sprinter van with mattress samples in it to showcase. I brought the show to you. I brought the show to your door. I wouldn't be denied, right? I wasn't going to wait till a market. I just invested in this truck, drove it around, which meant I had to have a second vehicle at home to take my kids around, because the van was always full of salesman samples. So I just set up these samples in this guy's parking lot. I'm doing this show. You're going to take a look at these things. Like, I may as well just like judo hip toss you onto a sample to make you try it. Like, I would not be denied. And I literally set up. I got there at like 8:30 in the morning. You know, most stores open at 10. Got there at 8:30, figuring either I'm going to beat the owner in, or he'll see some commotion on security cameras, whatever. Somebody coming in for the day will see me, like, what's this guy out in the parking lot doing? I beat him in. Basically, I had to move the sample from his parking spot and got cussed out a little bit. And I just said, hey, I don't know any other way to say this to you, that I'm so committed to seeing a good relationship here. I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to go this far. Like, I will not be denied. And you're the kind of guy that strikes me that you are someone who says, I will not be denied. Long story short, he decided to become a dealer and became one of my biggest accounts, doing about $400,000 a year in wholesale business.
First of all, I can tell you that the idea of going at 8:30 and knowing you're going to beat the people at 10 is 100% accurate. I worked in the furniture industry for some time. We've talked about that in the past. If you want to know that story, read my book.
Yeah.
It's funny because I can remember the first time I started going in. I'm a very punctual guy. So, like, in sales, that was one of the lessons I always learned was be early or be gone. And so I know that I could roll in at 9:30 and sit in the parking lot, and there still wouldn't be anybody there until 9:55, and they'd come rolling in like right at 10 on the button, flipping the lights on, with customers like looking in the windows going, hey, can I get in there? I'm trying to buy some shit. And I always was going, I don't understand that. But I love the story that it's like, hey man, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I've met multiple professionals in sales that have had similar stories. That's why we created this show. One thing I'd love to know about that though, in making that decision, you know, that's a gutsy move. What was your ultimate, like, if he tells me to fuck off and throws me out of here, what was your next move?
Well, I was already out the door because I wasn't even in, right? So it was like, just pick up my stuff and go home. I really had nothing to lose. I'd been chasing this account for probably 2 years. You know, the other accounts were good, but this guy was the player in that strip. And I just had to convince him of how committed I was to seeing our partnership begin. You know, and then I nurtured it and grew it. And we had some stumbles, but yeah, for me, if he would have said, get the F out of here, you know, pointing fingers, calling me every name in the book, it would have been like, what did I really lose here? I was going to be in this territory today. You know, if anything, I'd have made a real big stink about where I'm going next so he can watch me take some of the stuff he just saw to his competitors, right? So I guess that would have been the worst thing, other than being called some names. But so what? We hear names all the time. None of that stuff's ever bothered me. So I guess that would have been it. Like, yeah, okay. I guess I really tried. And no one can fault me. No one can say I didn't leave a stone unturned.
That's what I was looking for, man. That's the beauty of what I've seen in the progression of amazing salesmen and true leaders. And we're going to get to the leadership side of things in a minute, because I know that in sales, one of the things you're literally trying to do, unless you just want to have a job for your whole life, is build up a system and a process that you can train to the next person. And some of that is the development of a mindset and a willingness to be told no, to be screamed at, to be called names, to put out there and try things that are kind of crazy and, you know, wild, knowing that it's really just trying to move the needle in one direction or another. Either they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. And if they say no, cool, we got competition to go and talk to, because they're going to want to say yes when I give them a hell of a sweet deal. Or these guys are going to say yes, and as you said, you're going to get to build a relationship and nurture something that can be very, very fruitful. So I love that. And your line of, I will not be denied, very, very powerful. I always like to ask on this show, like, if you had one secret sales strategy or like tactic that you would say is your secret weapon, what would it be?
I mean, that's a mentality I think that leaders need to have. I don't think we can ask our teams to have it right away, because if you're hiring people that have that instilled and like downloaded and installed and they're on the proper operating version, I don't know that they're going to be around you that much longer, because they're going to go do their own thing. Mm-hmm. So we got to nurture. We got to bring that forward, and we got to give them systems and processes to work within the structures that are in their head at first, and then expand them. So that, you know, to answer your question, what's that secret sales strategy? It's almost odd that I have to say this, but to me, what's really working and has been working for the last number of years for us has been getting to that point of affirmation, affirming that we're the right fit for the person's needs. Not selling, affirming. There's so much information out there about any topic, you know, whether you're selling coaching, whether you're selling HVAC or roofing, or selling a durable thing like mattresses or a car. Man, there's so much information out there. And because it's this personal, it's delivered on this personal relationship device that's become an extension of our bodies, which isn't hyperbolic. I mean, these things like check your heart rate. So it is an extension of our body. They look at the information there with a lot of trust. So that secret sales strategy is putting our team in that point of affirmation all the time. Like, we open up, tell me why you're shopping for a mattress. We want to know. We want to know what, and it elicits an emotional response, not I want to go from queen to king. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I mean, that's good information, but ultimately that's something we already aspire to get to anyway, because a bigger sleeping surface is a good thing for your sleep, not just for our sales dollars. But that's a point we bring out. We look to educate. But that point of affirmation, we just want to know if what we've got is the right fit for your sleep needs, so you can wake up happy. Let's have that conversation.
Giving them the game, Jeff. Giving them the game, brother. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. When you commit to that truly, this means you can't be the person, it's Black Friday weekend, that means we're 80% off. None of my advertising has price in it, unless it's like, well, I shouldn't say none. You
so
just
the lost leaders or whatever.
Right now.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't do that loss leader stuff. That's what I meant to say. Like we've got a clearance event going on right now with some discounts advertised, but that's a real thing, and we're happy to sell it to you, and we're happy for somebody to get a nice mattress on the discount, come up and be excited about getting them that, because the next time they need something, they're going to come back to us. They got a fantastic deal on this floor model. They know it. They know what they're sacrificing, but they're going to love keeping some money in their wallet. The next time they're going to come right back to us because of the way we treated them. But that point of affirmation allows you so many things. So like our big KPI right now is missed opportunities. I want that number at 0 every week. So we watch what we sell. We watch what we quote, because about half of our quotes turn into sales. And then that 0 number, missed opportunity number, is we didn't get your quote. We didn't write you an invoice. I want that number. Ideally, what we expect is to ask for the sale every time, ask to give you a quote every time. And we want that number at 0. So we're really driving that number, riding it like Seabiscuit, and it's paying off. Like my one guy, Phil, I'm a hunter. Phil's a hunter. He was away for deer hunting week, end of November. Well, he's away. He wrote like $17,000 in quotes that came back. Dude came back from hunting and had his week in before he even started his week.
That's awesome. And the only way that could be possible is through leadership, right? And as you said, if someone comes in and they're already dialed in and they're a hunter and they're ready to go out and slay the marketplace, they're probably just in between opportunities because they riffed with management in some other location. It's not because they're like the smartest person. They're just like, they don't fit well in that system or that ecosphere, which that happens sometimes. Sometimes you got to, get the right person in the right seat. I read the Energy Bus recently. Fantastic book on leadership and helping you understand that certain people might just be in the wrong place or in that wrong chair. And one thing I'd like to know is really, from a standpoint of leadership, you're someone that I've really watched and admired and appreciated how you focus on those little details, right? The KPIs. It's not about how many missed sales did we have. It's, hey, how many missed opportunities did we have to help someone? So in the book, The Space for Leadership, it's a fantastic read. I really recommend anyone who's listening go and grab it. It's on Amazon, right, Jeff?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. I've read a lot of leadership books. There's some great stuff out there. This one is fantastic. In your opinion, what separates this book from other leadership books?
Well, it's the vulnerability story, right? So it's about my past, my childhood, dealing with the childhood sexual abuse that I had as a kid that was, put upon me, and it was very, very rough. And that translates, that's hard for some people to hear. I get that. What I always preface this point when I talk about the book and my story is I don't want people to weigh their past, their issues against mine. I'm not trying to be out in front and say, well, I'm the leader because it was that. Like if you were a kid that really worked hard in school and you got C's and B's, occasionally B's, and you finally got that A, and then your parents are like, well, it's about time, and that just wrecked you, that's your thing. I get it. Like it doesn't have to be, we're not here to weigh it out. We're here to accept it. What I want people to take away is to think about why those struggles were really given to you. And so for me, this person that committed this violence upon me and others, it was a pretty wide net for a little small town in Canada. And there were 2 other kids that committed suicide. And I feel that as best I can tell from what I've been able to pick up on over the years, is I was that last kid. I was the kid that God put in the place to stop it because he knew I'd have the shoulders to strengthen it or to handle it and have that strength. And then to someday be in this place, putting light on that really rough topic. And so as leaders, we got to lead with that vulnerability because there's a clash that people have that you lead that they're bringing to you every day. Like here's a very real example in my community where I live. So at our high school, we had 2 young men get in a fight day before Thanksgiving. One of them brings out a knife. That kid's expelled. So if you're somebody who employs those parents, and I don't know if they have businesses or what, I don't really know them. But if you employ those parents, they're coming into your work that Friday after Thanksgiving or the Monday after the holiday. what's their frame of mind? Have you created a place where they could come to you privately and say, hey, I just want to let you know, my kid really acted out. We're shocked. We're disappointed. We're sad. We're really hurt that he chose to act this way. So it's likely I'm going to need some time. I might be requesting a half a vacation day here, an hour there to get on a phone call privately in my car, go to an appointment. Are you creating that kind of place to help those people out to succeed? Because that's a clash that exists at work, between work and home, right? And that's the kind of vulnerability that I'm talking about that leaders need to bring to the table. Like, it's cool. Like, I don't want, I'm sorry I took your show like in this left turn.
That's okay. Like, it's great because there's something to that. I'm going to let you finish because I got something I want to share with that. It's very important.
Yeah. And so my challenge, the whole reason I wrote the book, was for people to first and foremost understand that maybe there's a purpose. Because I think that belief and faith can help you heal. And then it can help you lead. Because so many people are unable to ask that question and stand with that faith conviction that there was a purpose for that awfulness. And you can now talk about it today and help other people. And every time one of these shows gets out, I get some message back from out of the blue from somebody that had a similar story and thought they were very much alone. And so that's my challenge to leaders, is like, maybe you don't share. And that's why I say, let's not trauma away, because it doesn't have to always be that. You can kind of set that expectation. Maybe that parent isn't going to come to you whose son got in a knife fight because they think you're way up here, right? You're way above them. You need to create that environment to be relatable and show people you're a human, because then they can show you the same, that they're a human.
Jeff, it's a very powerful story, and I appreciate you sharing. And even that little kind of, the side tangent is so important, because you're right. Most of us that got into sales, not all of us, but I'll kind of stereotype and say most of us that got into sales, we came from some kind of weird, messed up background, right? A lot of us were in, selling drugs as kids, or selling whatever we were selling, getting into things we weren't supposed to get into. And it was because we had that entrepreneurial spirit. We had that, like, I'm going to go and mess around and find out mentality. And sometimes the finding out led us down the situations that weren't great. And we have those traumas, and we have to work through those as we get older. And you're not alone. I just had Dr. Chalmers on the other day, and we were talking about, the individuals that see and deal with these things in life. There's some deep-rooted trauma that we have to work through. And at some level, the NLP training I've done has really helped me see that there's, it's the conscious thinking that we do and how we act out at an unconscious level that causes us some success and some failure. There's value to that trauma, and with the drive that it gives us to go and succeed. And yet, as a leader, you have to understand how to step back and be empathetic to someone else's traumas and what they're going through in life. And that relates closely to sales, because that's what makes a great salesperson. Hey, I can sit back and empathize and say, you know what, I do understand what you're going through. I feel for you. And with that said, I'd like to make sure that I'm putting you in a space where you feel comfortable making a decision to do the next thing, whatever that next thing may be. And that is the epitome of sales and persuasion, and also leadership. So I appreciate you being willing to share that, because some people might go, well, I don't want to talk about that. That's kind of a taboo subject. And some people are going, holy shit, this guy knows what I'm going through. This guy knows what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. And it's those messages that we get that's totally out of the blue from someone we haven't heard from or have never met, that's like, hey, I heard your show, and I just want you to know that it impacted me at a deep level. It really opened me up and made me realize that I'm not alone. I'm not, the only person that's dealt with this. And yes, every situation is unique. Everyone's story is their own. That's why people write amazing books like Jeff's, because it's the telling of that story and that struggle that allows you to really take that next step into leadership. So, Jeff, man, like, I really do want you to know how grateful I am for you sharing and being willing to be vulnerable, because I know that's what's setting up the next future generation of sales professionals to go out and to absolutely dominate and to be successful in their life. Because money's great. Like, we all know how to make money. We can do that. Like, and I'm going to support making more money, but it's the impact that we get to make on our community and the people that we get to help that truly sets apart, the leaders. And man, you have been just an absolutely amazing example of that. So thank you so much for sharing.
No, I mean, for me, it's just one of those things. I really felt that calling to do. We all might feel called to step into greatness through selling. And I think selling is the most honorable profession out there when done right, because you're transferring somebody's hard-earned money into something that they need or they want or they've aspired to. For me, I'm just kind of approaching it in a little different way. And it dawns on me as we're talking, that example of a kid who didn't get a good grade and their parents came down on them. I wonder if in our sales language, in the way we work with people, I think a lot of people shared that example of that story. They tried hard as a kid, didn't quite get there, and maybe mom and dad were having a hard time, a hard day, and it just came out the wrong way. Because that Venn diagram, a lot of people fit in that meaty center, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people do. So I think I would challenge, as we move on to your last question, whatever you take away from what I shared about my past and how I view leadership, take away how you engage with people and the things you say. And remember, you're not your customer. They don't know what you do. You're the expert. They're swimming out into some deep, deep water without a life jacket in most cases. And you got to be the one to get them back to the shore. And maybe you say something that to them doesn't feel like a life jacket, feels like an anchor around their neck. And you didn't intend it that way. But, think about that. Think about the words you say, because they are powerful. And, just maybe the other three people said things to them that reminded them deep down, that's just like my childhood. They didn't say that out loud. But that's what gave them the uneasy feeling to look to their wife. Yeah, let's go think about it. And then in the car, the wife's like, I thought we were ready to buy a car today. Yeah, I just got this weird feeling. Something didn't sit right in my gut. That mind talked to the gut right away, and the gut flared up and was like, we're out. So just think about that. You might think it's a little crazy, but it's rooted in a lot of science. It's rooted in a lot of data. It's rooted in a lot of result. Think about it.
You're absolutely right, man. I've been doing a lot of NLP, neuro-linguistic program training, and it's really that. It's that human mind and the decision-making process that we go through as individuals based on our past, present, and future experiences, right? Our mind has already created this future that we expect to go through, and sometimes what people say to us disrupts that vision. And it's that split second between, hey, I was ready to hand you my credit card, and you know what? Nah, not today. And I appreciate your sharing that in the recognition of it in real time, because it's such a powerful awareness. And anyone who's listening and watching the clips on this, man, they're going to go, damn, this is worth every bit of the 26 minutes I've been here so far today, which, again, Jeff, I am so incredibly grateful that you took the time to be here, that you took the time to write this book, The Space for Leadership. Anyone who's listening, please go to Amazon, order your copy. Jeff Giagnocavo. I know you're going to have a hard time spelling it, so I'm going to put all the stuff in the show notes. I'm going to have your link to your website, your all of your social media, all that kind of stuff. And the one thing I always like to ask, other than expressing my gratitude, which, again, thank you, but there are going to be some new sales professionals listening to this show, right? Maybe they're not seasoned. They don't have all the skills that you and I have developed in the decades of doing this. If you can give that new person one piece of advice on how to be successful in this industry, what would it be?
So if you've been put front and center with your clients, your customers, patients, whatever, I'll preface this, that statement means your company's got some good process procedure to put you out front with your customers, right? Mm-hmm. So know that you've been put in front of those customers for a reason. You've graduated to that point. Have that confidence, and yet remember you're not the customer. So you've been trained, you've been given the knowledge, you have the knowledge, you've acquired it. Have that confidence, even if it's a new scary place, because that person is coming to you to bring them back from those deep waters. Have them reach the mountaintop in their journey of this buying decision. You could be that guide, whatever analogy you want to think of. Have that confidence. I learned that analogy. I started one of my side hustles when I was a kid, was a mobile DJ, and then I had a mobile DJing business and grew it nicely and then sold it. And what I would train the new hires is, look, you behind the desk with the gear rack, the CDs, the whole binders of CDs, cross-reference manuals, the microphone, you're in charge. You're the expert in the moment. No one knows this equipment. They don't know how to look up music. They don't know how to move from one deck to the next. You have that confidence. You've been trained. I've graduated you to this point. I'm not going to put you out there on somebody's best day of their life, their wedding, and have that come back on me. So know that you've got the confidence to go do this, because, again, this is why I say a preface. If you haven't had the training, go find the way to get the training to be confident. But have that confidence, like know that, look, you can do this, and go right back to the top. What's the worst that's going to happen? If that guy would have thrown me out of the parking lot with a whole bunch of curse words, kicked a mattress across the street, all of that, when distilled down in the bottom of the pot, what is that? It's just another no. That's all that is. And even the best closers, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, they still need that one no. It's all right. Move on to the next.
Sometimes it's that no that really is the no that you needed, because I've taken on a lot of business that I wish would have said no. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? I should have said no. They should have said no. Like, what are we even doing here? This is not a good fit. And you know what it is? It's when you skip the processes. It's when you skip the training and you leave out that question, or you leave out that one piece of the step, and you go, well, shucks, here we are. I frigged up. I did it now. Got to learn that lesson. You know what, though? But it comes back to confidence. I absolutely love that. And one of my favorite things to go with that is I learned very early on from my mentor, the wisest man does not have the answer to every question. He knows where to go looking for them. So when I started in sales, if I didn't have the answer, I'd go, you know what? That's a fantastic question. Let me make sure I run that up the flagpole so that I can get you some clarity. While I'm here, let's run through the rest of this and get any other questions you might have. And you might even get the answer to this one when we finish. And then we can go and we can finish from there. Does that sound fair? And they're like, well, okay, yeah, because 99% of the people know that they don't fucking know everything either. So they're okay when you're willing to admit, I know what I know. What I don't know, I will go and learn for you. That's my service to you, is to go and make sure you have what you need. Are you good with that? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool, let's rock and roll together. So fantastic piece of advice. The confidence is there if you have the right training. So leaders, go grab a copy of Jeff's book. Make sure you're getting yourself plugged in and really having those trainings and those processes. Jeff, man, what an honor it's been to hang out with you today. Thank you for pouring into us, pouring into your book. I know there's going to be some live change from this one, man. Any last words before we get out of here?
You know, I appreciate you creating this space, having this show. I appreciate the journey you're on. I've been watching. I'm happy. I mean it. This is your show, your thing, and you know, you get to pass it on, what you shared with me before we began, and that's so cool. So I would say take Drewbie's inspiration and think about that in your way. So thank you, man. Thanks for having me here.
Hell yeah. Thank you for being here. If you guys are listening, make sure you tune in, hit subscribe, share this show with your friends, tag us on social media at Call the Damn Leads. Our whole mission is to bring this community together and help you see that you're not alone on the journey, and that there's a lot of amazing people out here sharing their stories just like you, which, if you have an awesome sales story you'd like to come on and share it, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Check out the requirements. Send over your information. Tell me about your story. Let's bring you on the show. Would love to share it, because that's what it's all about. Get out there, call the damn leads, and we'll see you guys on the next one.